everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's third Tuesday Go to Natchitoches show. Founded in 1714, Natchitoches is the original French colony and the oldest city in the state of Louisiana. This is a state we all want to go to, and we do all the time because we love it. We love it. Natchitoches is one of our absolute favorite places in the country, and it is home to the Cane River Creole National Historical Park, and it's part of the Cane River National Heritage Area, and it is the final destination on the El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. In fact, that's how we found Natchitoches. We travel full-time, Nancy and I, on our Love Your Parks tour, documenting parks and public lands for our Parks and Travel magazine. And then we went to Natchitoches, fell in love with the city, the people, the food, the fun, the music. Oh my gosh, Cane River Lake. There's Sibley. Is it Sibley Lake or Lake Sibley? I'm going to get it wrong. I don't want to be wrong. Can't be wrong, but we'll get it straight today.
It's Sibley Lake.
Sibley Lake. It's beautiful.
Just
so much to see. So that's one of our special guests joining us today. We're going to be talking about, we're going to get a taste of Natchitoches. It's home to the meat pie, which is a state, it is a state dish.
It's yummy.
If you go anywhere in Louisiana, you may be able to get a meat pie. But the thing is to go to Natchitoches to get the original meat pie. So you got to go to Natchitoches for that. They've got all kinds of good food in Natchitoches. We've got Arlene Gould on the show, as always. She's the director of the Natchitoches Convention and Visitor Bureau, and you can go to their website, natchitoches.com. And I'm going to spell that because how it sounds and how it's spelled are two different things. It's natchitoches.com. I could sing it
You
properly.
sound like the Mickey Mouse Club.
That's the easiest way for me to remember. So it's like Natchitoches, but it's natchitoches.com. So welcome back, Arlene. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me on the show today. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy
Thank
New Year
you.
to you. You just came back home. You've had one busy holiday season, and it's Mardi Gras season. All of this stuff is going on in Louisiana. This is a busy time, but you just came back from LA. We raised a glass to the state of Louisiana on our Champagne Sunday anniversary show the other day, because you guys won the showmanship award, the state of Louisiana for their
Showmanship
float.
and entertainment, yes, for the float.
Yeah.
Absolutely, at the Rose Parade. It was wonderful.
That's so cool.
I was so proud. We saw Natchitoches represented. You were on TV. All the, everyone was represented. Everybody that was on that float, had spots, and we just to see Louisiana represented and Natchitoches represented. I was in tears. I'm like, I know them. They're my friends.
Well, I have a funny story to tell you about that because who does a parade better than Louisiana, right? So last year, the lieutenant governor said, well, we're going to go into the Rose Parade to promote tourism across, the nation, and even internationally, people watch the Rose Parade. And it went over so well that we did it again this year. And the float was absolutely beautiful. And they put 22 festival queens on the float to represent all the fairs and festivals that we have around the state, which, by the way, is over 400 each year just in Louisiana.
What?
But we were so proud of that float. You're right. It was almost overkill with 130,000 plus flowers, but you can never have too many flowers, right? It was absolutely gorgeous, and we were all so proud. We really, really were.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
But you're right. Now we're into Mardi Gras season. Started last Friday, a week ago today. January 6th is the start of the season, so we're ready for Mardi Gras now.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
full-on party.
Priscilla, our pink sock monkey, who's our travel mascot, has her beads on because she knew you were coming on the show today. She's ready to roll, and she's like, let's roll, because I think there's something about, let's roll in Louisiana. But we've got two special guests joining us today when we talk about getting a taste of Louisiana. They know all about it. We've got Carrie and her husband, Chef Ben Fidelek, joining us. They're the owners of Mariner's Restaurant in Natchitoches. It's one of the few places we haven't visited yet, and I say yet. But we did stop outside there. We just found out. And I encourage you to go to their website, marinersrestaurant.com. Have a look at these menus. Oh my gosh. Like I'm hungry. But I want to bring Carrie on the show first. Welcome, Carrie. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Hey, it is good to have you on the show. So, now tell us, before we bring your husband, Chef Ben, on the show, how did you meet Ben? We want to know the scoop because you guys have a
Oh,
good story.
Oh, wow.
I know you didn't know this was going to happen. We want gossip. We can't do this without
No.
gossip.
we want the
Oh,
gossip.
wow. Okay. So I had just finished some contract work in Atlanta, and I went to visit a friend of mine in New York City. And it was about 3 days before New Year's Eve, and we decided to go out for New Year's Eve. And across the way at this party, I saw this good-looking guy with a blonde wig on, and lo and behold, it was Ben. So 25 years later, we're still going strong.
And,
Now,
and listen,
in my defense, she didn't know it was a wig at the time. I mean, I was pulling her
No.
off. So
I
Well-
didn't know it was a wig.
see, but I love this. What was it? A mullet? That's important.
What?
It was
Yeah.
a blonde. It was a blonde bob.
It was definitely a bob. It was
Okay.
the late 90s. He was rocking the blonde bob.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
too-
And so
too
listen,
cute.
this is the precursor for you all living in Natchitoches and getting on a Mardi Gras parade float,
Hey,
right?
Sounds like
getting-
fun.
I love this. I love this. Chef Ben, tell us a little bit about your background in regards to food. And we want to talk about travels, but when did you start getting in there and really cooking up what looks like amazing, amazing food? And all we've heard is all these people raving about your food. And so what got it all started?
Well, I mean, I've kind of, kind of been around food my entire life. I grew up in Northern Ontario in Canada, and my parents had a truck stop up there. So, me and my brother pretty much did every job in the building, and one of those included cooking. So it basically started with some short order line cooking is where it got started. I was probably, I don't know, if I know my dad, probably about 7 years old when I was working a griddle, I'd imagine. But then,
Wow.
I just kept heading south and heading south and heading south, ended up in New York and picked up Carrie in New York, and we ended up coming down to Louisiana. And when we moved down here, we ended up buying a bed and breakfast, we bought a house and didn't know what we were going to do with it. And we were living in New Jersey at the time, and we put our house on the market up there, and it sold in 5 days. So we just kind of
Wow.
took that as a sign and said, maybe we should go down there and see what we can do. And it was actually, we ended up closing on our house in New Jersey 20 days before 9/11. So we
Wow.
kind of got out right at the right time. I mean, I worked on Wall Street at the time, so it would have been pretty catastrophic as far as
Wow.
keeping
Yeah,
your
no
job
kidding.
and staying employed and everything like that. So the timing just worked out, and we moved down here, opened a bed and breakfast, and started cooking breakfast, stuff like that, and then started doing weddings at the venue. And these caterers would come in and maybe not do such a great job, and we ended up doing it ourselves. So then I went to cooking school in New Orleans, and we, it almost started as a hobby, and here we are 23 years later, still getting after it.
Wow, that's
Cool.
amazing. And doing
That's
weddings, that's
awesome.
such hard work. Bed and
That's
breakfast
hard work.
work is hard work. We've insat for some friends twice now and run their inn and had to do breakfast all at the same time for people, and people who decide to change that they suddenly have a dietary issue, like,
Yeah.
sorry,
That
we're on
was
a keto
catching.
diet. And it was like right as
It
you're
was
about to serve.
catching.
I don't, and
I mean,
restaurant work is not easy either, but wow.
No, it's funny, like two things about that. When we had the bed and breakfast, we had 5 rooms. So we'd have, maximum 10 people. And sometimes it felt like that was more work than having a 350 seat restaurant.
Isn't
Yeah,
that weird?
while you're trying to get the meal ready for everybody all at once, and then one person starts with, "Oh, I forgot to tell you." Oh my God.
Right. I don't eat gluten, dairy, vegetables. or
I know. I'm
anything.
like, okay, can we gloss over what you don't eat, and can you tell me what you do eat?
Oh man, no, the best was I need sugar-free syrup, but I'm drinking
I know
cocktails all day
sugar-free
long.
syrup.
So
Is there
that
such a thing as sugar-free syrup? I'm like, just pour coffee on it. Get over
yeah,
it.
just and that's why we don't do this anymore. This is
Right.
this is why we go to you guys. But this is amazing doing that, so you understand
That's funny.
hospitality for sure, especially doing
Mm.
weddings. And Carrie, from what it looks like, can you give us kind of a overview of the restaurant, like when you go in, because you have this lake view, and then
Mm.
you told me you have, and I've got photos of it. They've got a private island to have. Like,
Nice.
tell us about the
Cool.
venue itself, what your views are, and you guys are open daily, it seems like, right?
We are. So when you come in from the parking lot, and you enter in to the walkway, there are we call them the docks on the right, and that's our outdoor dining right there on the water. You can literally
Nice.
just throw a stone into the water. So it is
Wow.
covered, but it's completely outdoors. And then you come into the restaurant, and to the left, we have another area that we call the Cove. And that is kind of like our sports bar area, we call it. We can seat about 80 people in there, and big screens,
Wow.
not big screen, but, TVs for sporting events and things like that. So then if you would continue walking from the main entrance, you would enter into the main dining room. And it is giant, like floor to ceiling windows, beautiful views of the lake. We could seat about 60 people in the main dining room. So then when you walk through the main dining room, we are about, what do you think, Ben? How many feet to the island?
It's about 250 feet.
250 feet to the island. So we're in the process now of building a walkway over to the island so that we can do little, private 12-person dinner parties out on the island. But it's pretty unique, and it's amazing sunset views on Sibley Lake.
So what about weddings and elopements? Lately, we've been doing, I don't know, it's kind of, I think the pandemic kind of started this, where folks are realizing that experience is huge. There's weddings are kind of a little smaller now. And there's definitely people doing the big ones, right? But it seems like elopements and small intimate weddings are kind of becoming a major thing in bed and breakfast, or definitely boutique inns, restaurants, and that kind of thing. So would your I want to go on the private island.
Me too.
Yes.
Do you see that as being an elopement venue, maybe, or like a small wedding?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a wedding tomorrow at the restaurant for 70 guests. And yes, absolutely. Post-COVID, we've seen a lot of smaller, more intimate weddings and things like that. We get couples contacting us all the time wanting to do engagements on the island, and then they'll have their whole family waiting on the docks, and they come back and we do champagne toast and appetizers and things. But absolutely, we just, in fact, did a whole section of our website to promote weddings at the restaurant because it's an amazing venue.
Well, it just, to me, that is it. Louisiana's got so much water, whether it's bayous or, rivers, lakes, got the ocean too, and it's like, wow, to be able to have that. There's nothing, I don't know. Listen, Louisiana is its own, it's like there's a Louisiana state of mind where you just, as soon as you hear Louisiana, you're either ready to party or you're just going to relax. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's not a state of mind. It's a real deal. It's real, so it sounds so, relaxing and beautiful when you think sunsets and everything to go out there, and having the weddings, these special events. But the food, we are hearing rave reviews. Arlene, big good reviews. Yes,
absolutely.
For the food.
I was just sitting here thinking how I met Ben and Carrie. And it was probably about 15 years ago that the Louisiana Office of Tourism was invited to participate in the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot in Florida. And it was the first time a state had its own pavilion. And of course, we were situated right next to the Eiffel Tower in France around the World Showcase in Epcot. And so Louisiana had this pavilion for a good 6 or 8 weeks. And Natchitoches we were invited to go and to bring a chef for a week to participate. And we took Chef Ben with us.
Wow.
And that's how I first met them. And we've been friends since. And I remember your son was only about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that.
Time.
It was it was at Epcot. So you send them your recipe, and I had to do a 20-minute cooking demo 3 times a day. And I thought, oh, this will be good. I can chop this and chop that. I think I was doing barbecue shrimp and grits, but it was Disney. So I sent them the recipe, and when I got there, everything was chopped and measured and put out in bowls and ready to go. And I was like, well, I guess it's going to be a 20-minute comedy show instead of a cooking show, because there was, it was basically the cooking involved pouring it into the pot. So, but it
But it was
was a
so
really good
funny.
time.
It was so, Louisiana again was so popular at this World Showcase and at this Food and Wine Festival. And of course, our giveaway promotional thing was beads. Louisiana, everybody that came to
sure.
our booth, we gave away beads. And, you know, we had
Awesome.
music. We had musicians there from Louisiana, and we had, you know, storytelling and all this other stuff. But everybody around Epcot, this is no lie, was walking around with these Louisiana beads hanging around their necks. And the ones that didn't have them were walking up to the people that didn't have them and wanted to know where they could get them.
See?
And we had a line of people, like, I don't know, 200 long, waiting to get
Oh my
into our
gosh.
booth just to get a pair of beads. And it was the funniest thing. It's like, oh, over a cheap pair of beads, but we love it. Come on.
Well,
Come
that's
on
the
down.
thing. Louisiana is this by like just so diverse culture. I mean, everyone's, from
Mhm.
all these different places around the world. And so the food thing, that's what I find very interesting with you, Chef Ben, is that you've traveled, you both, you and Carrie have traveled, and kind of what it looks like on your menu and from what I've read, it's like you're taking what you've done in your travel experiences and then merge those with Louisiana, which is really cool because, like I was saying, I was going to say biodiverse. I've been doing too many nature programs,
Yeah.
but it's culinary diverse. It's fusion, so this is really a very interesting thing. And when I was reading that you sailed from Cape Town, where were you going to
love it.
Guyana? What? So
So-
yeah, tell us about this because you're on the water again.
Well,
You
I
have
mean,
to start, Ben, with so I was drunk in a bar in Poland.
the story starts. I was drunk in a bar in Poland.
Oh, I love it.
And
I love it.
Love it.
and met some people in Poland. My cousin was there at the time, and met some people. And kind of woke up the next day recalling a conversation about sailing. And it turns out I had been talking to one of the guys, and he had friends that were doing the Oyster World Rally, which is it's not a sailboat race, but it was a group of about 25 sailboats that were circumnavigating the globe. And
Wow.
I think we were there in summertime, and they had an opening in January, because they would pick up different people as they traveled around the world, and they had an open spot in January to go from Cape Town we were originally supposed to go to Cape Verde, and I was kind of like, well, it's quiet in January, I can go. And so I kind of woke up and I'd committed to getting on this sailboat, having never met these people. So it was essentially a 2.5 month blind date, but we ended up taking a left at Ascension Island and going to Brazil instead of Cape Verde. So we actually went all the way across the Atlantic.
Wow.
in
Oh my gosh.
In a 46-foot sailboat with people I'd never met before, but they were wonderful.
Wow.
So it was a pretty amazing experience.
Wow.
That's
so cool.
I think that's what life is about. You've got to kind of,
Mhm.
it's
a
always good when we
chance.
put our foot in it, right? It's like, that's
Mhm.
when things happen. And that's what travel's about. It's like meeting people and going on these adventures. I know you've both traveled all over. Arlene, you have too. But is it just me and Nancy who go, like, when you go to Louisiana, it of course has deep American history, but I just feel like Louisiana is just, Nancy, isn't it? It's like, it is a sense of place. There's no place like Louisiana, right, Nancy? We always say
No,
that.
it's got its own identity for sure, and it's so hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just, as you drive in, you start to relax,
Yeah, you feel like you're in a different country. Like if you want to
Yeah.
get a world away,
Mhm.
you could go to Louisiana. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yeah.
I think that's
Got
going to make
its-
it fun for you cooking wise, So when you think about 3 must-have ingredients, how hard is that for you?
To have 3 must-have ingredients?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
all your-
Louisiana is going to be all about the seafood for sure. I mean, and we see this when we travel as well. Like, we like to eat what's local and what's fresh and what's, because it's all about like the terroir with wine, like all that kind of stuff. If you eat stuff, they talk about farm to table, and if you eat stuff from within 400 miles, everything is going to complement each other. The soil is going to complement what grows in the ground, which is going to complement what eats the stuff that comes out of the ground, which, you know what I mean? And so you have this sense of everything coming together if you kind of try and prepare things like that and even eat things like that.
So
That's
what
a
are
good
some of
point.
the
I like that.
main signature dishes that when someone comes to the restaurant, that they must try to get a real good taste of what Mariners is about and Natchitoches in Louisiana?
I would definitely say, we've got some really good seafood dishes, but we do some things that are unique to our restaurant as well, that kind of highlight Louisiana. Like we do a boudin wonton, so it's Louisiana boudin. We add pepper jack cheese to that. We wrap it in a wonton, we fry it, and then we serve it with crumbled crackling steamed syrup and powdered sugar on top.
Ooh,
Wow.
oh, wow.
So that kind of
It's awesome.
that kind of gives you a feel.
Yeah.
And we like to play with a lot of things and keep them interesting, but we try to bring things back from when we travel, but at the same time, having a restaurant, you have to keep things accessible too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You've got some adventurous eaters in Louisiana, and you've got some, I want my fried catfish on Friday night people in Louisiana as well.
So could you come up with a specialty cocktail called the Blonde Bob?
Oh, the Blonde
That's
Bob.
a great idea. It's
The Blonde Bob.
done,
You know what?
Jack.
We have all these specialty cocktails, and they're named after, like, there's one named after our daughter, there's one named after Carrie, my son has one named after him, they're named after travel, and there's not a single one that's named after me.
Well, there you
So
go.
I think maybe the Blonde Bob might be the way to
The
go.
Blonde Bob.
I like it.
Matt
I
will
love
work on
it.
that.
And the Blonde
Yep.
Bob, did you wear the Blonde Bob on the sailboat with your new friends that didn't know that you were
I didn't.
know,
I did not.
a wig wearer?
No, that was
That's so funny.
a very short-lived time in my life. I don't think the Blonde Bob even made it to the next day.
Well, while we're talking on the subject of beverages, I do want to commend Ben and Carrie for their fantastic wine list. They've also, been recognized by Wine Spectator magazine for having one of
Nice.
the best wine list and carrying some of the best wines
Cool.
here, in Louisiana or in the country, for that matter. So yeah, great selection of wines on the menu too. So
And whiskey.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
whiskey.
yeah, and whiskey.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have wine, blonde bobs, and whiskey. I can't even say it. I was like, that's it. But I love that you have specialty cocktails. What would be a specialty cocktail that you could tell people about for when they come in that, hey, this is one you really want to try that represents either the restaurant or Natchitoches?
Ben, what do you think?
I just work in the kitchen, Carrie. That's all you.
I think, the one that's named after me is called the One-Eyed Sally because my alter ego's name is Sally, and it's technically her name is Sally McDrunkbritches, but we just shortened it to Sally, and sometimes I just have one eye open for business. So the One-Eyed Sally, and it's a gin. It's very gin forward. We really got into gins in South Africa, which surprisingly most people don't think about South Africa as like gin, but oh my goodness, there's some good gins there. So it's a gin forward drink. Yes, it's actually got Hendrix and no, actually it's Monkey 47. It's Monkey 47 that we use, and then we use a violet liqueur and a little splash of some house-made simple, and it's garnished with an edible flower. So
I love
it's
that
a different drink.
The violet liqueur too.
Yeah.
That's something that you don't hear very much of.
Yes.
In South Africa, we had it. I mean, African violets, but South Africa, gin and tonic was like a norm.
Staple.
That was just like a normal afternoon drink. I mean, I know they have martini lunches in this country, but over there it was gin and tonics or straight gins. And then when we moved from South Africa, we went to the Channel Islands and between England and France and then to England. But they drink slow gin over there. So I thought, oh, no big deal.
Right.
And someone we went to a bonfire night or something crazy. They're like, here, have some locally made slow gin. And we were just walking down the street. And by the time we got to the bonfire, I needed to crawl, like literally. I don't know what they put in there. They were
like wobbly.
They were like whatever. They were fermenting these berries for a year for this event, and I thought I was pretty well versed in gin, and apparently,
no,
they killed me, man. They killed me, but it was fun. I had a good time,
Yeah.
But it's amazing. So, do you have any South African wines on your list? I don't know. Like I know these.
We do.
New Zealand,
We
Australia,
do. We have a couple. It is prior to COVID, it's been really difficult to source out things on a regular basis, but we absolutely do. They are both from Cape Town. One is actually called Southern Right, and every bottle goes to help save the Southern Right whale, which is mainly in the waters off of Cape Town. So yeah, we do.
Awesome.
Oh, that is
that.
that is really,
love
really
that.
cool. That is cool. You know,
Yeah.
the right whale, we have those out of Canaveral Coast, out in Titusville, Florida, not too far from you guys. I just say everything's close. And it's actually like an endangered species you can see in the National Seashore, if you're lucky. But the right whale, you never hear anybody talk about them. I'm like, no, who said a right whale? No one talks about them.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's
sweet.
really
And
cool.
it's a great wine too.
We do we're doing a wine class in January where we do a white night, red night blends and bubbles. And so people come in and we'll serve them 4 different wines and 4 different courses. And it's just a way, we call it wine class, but it's really more of a wine experience because I can't promise they're going to learn anything. But one of the ones we did this week actually was the wolf trap from South Africa.
Oh, yeah. We've had wolf trap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So when you do these wine experiences, that's really great for everyone to know. So do you put them up on Facebook, or does everyone just go to your website for that?
Yes, it's normally posted on Facebook for sure.
Instagram, Facebook, and we've been doing these for about 15 years. So we have a pretty loyal following, a pretty big group of people who kind of are waiting around in the wings for us to release it. We promote it through the restaurant as well, but mainly Facebook and Instagram is where we post all of our classes and dinners and things like that, and our website.
Did you hear our phone just went off as soon as they heard wine class and
I know
coming up?
people are placing their orders.
Like, I want to go. I want to attend that class.
I know.
Where do I sign up?
They heard wine and, an experience. And okay, so the other thing we really want to know, and we do have to talk desserts too, but from what I read, you have like a brunch. Do you have a brunch? Am I reading that right, that you do a brunch or no?
We do have a brunch, but we have suspended our brunch just in the colder months because it is, really cold outside. But we're looking to bring the brunch back in the spring.
Cool. Very cool.
Nice.
Well, and because you guys do bubbles, that's important.
And we like
bubbles
our
are
bubbles.
good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Gotta have the bubbles.
So
yeah, we do the mimosa towers on Sunday as well. I think
tower?
it's what,
three bottles
of champagne, 3 bottles of champagne.
Three bottles of champagne with a splash of orange juice.
All for one person.
Well, it's a judge-free zone. We don't count the number of people at the table.
I want the tower on the private island.
Tower.
I want the tower on the private island. Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do. Well, so I'm excited about you guys. It sounds like so much fun there, yet at the same time, you're putting out amazing food from everything we've heard. Do we have to wear high heels to come in? I just want to know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Thank
no,
goodness.
No.
Does anybody even do that anymore? No, I know they do, but please don't make me. Okay.
No,
Just want to make sure.
People we have guests that do come in dressed up. We get a lot of anniversaries, birthday dinners, but we want to make the restaurant and the view and the food accessible to everyone. And so we try to just have an atmosphere of everyone's welcome, come as you are.
Does the view
Smart casual?
Yeah, casual. Smart casual is always nice.
Yeah.
Does the view influence what you're putting on menus, whether it's the food, the desserts, the drinks? Does that because it becomes part of the atmosphere, right? So does the food, let's go with you, Ben, on this. Does the food have to match the atmosphere? Yeah, what you put on there on the menu, not just the people, but the. Go ahead.
I think so. Our specialty drink menu is definitely geared towards the more nautical, seaside, coastal theme, because that is you're just overwhelmed with that when you walk in, from the colors of the restaurant to the cork floors to the beautiful view. And I think, the food kind of follows as well. Ben, what do you think?
I think so, for sure. You have to, certainly the sunset stands by itself, But just like Carrie said, I call it nautical and aquatical theme that we have. It's just it is influenced by the water, by the sea, by sailing, by all that stuff. Like it feels like you're in a boathouse on a river kind of thing. That's just kind of, there's big white beams everywhere. There's just, it definitely feels very, very nautical.
Yeah, our decor is
we try to match
we have a lot of the vintage maps.
Here's another cocktail, the Mutiny.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the Mutiny goes well because if you think about Natchitoches being part of no man's land when there was no law and order for 3 years. Arlene, when people ask me about no man's land, I know it's all got this history. I just say that's when there was no law and order. And so that's the history I know about no man's land. We've done gazillions of interviews.
That's it.
We've been to all the sites, the historic sites, but I'm going to say there was no law and order, and there were, privateers. Like when you think about New Orleans and the Battle of New Orleans, if it wasn't for the privateers, as they wanted to be called, Lafitte, right? Oh, here we go. Arlene, we're going to go down that rabbit hole.
Yep.
But so if it wasn't for them, like Louisiana would not be what Louisiana is now. So we need to all thank a privateer, not the Somalian pirates, though. That's not good. But really, I think, do you have a pirate cocktail? We want the Mutiny, like Nancy says.
I'll have to add it along with the Blonde Bob.
There we go.
Yeah, this is like the cocktail
Weekend
show.
Specials.
Yeah, you should
Something
be on
with
our happy
Captain
hour
Morgan.
shows.
Yes.
Captain Morgan, yeah.
Oh, see, Captain
Absolutely.
Morgan needs what do you call a nemesis? He needs somebody to take him down a notch.
Lafitte. Lafitte. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh boy, here we go. So the other thing too, I want to touch on. I know you were up, Chef Ben. You were up in Charlotte, North Carolina, as part of the Louisiana Culinary Trails program, and going and taking over restaurants in Charlotte, North Carolina. But getting to that part, I want people to understand why you were there. And Arlene, this is really cool because one thing we do need to touch on is where Natchitoches is located. You're so central to everything. It's like you could just, if you're going to go vacation, even, to all these major cities, you could just call Natchitoches home for a bit and go in and out and everything, enjoy Natchitoches. But central wise, and then let's talk airplanes and how close, everything is. And even for Louisiana, New Orleans, you're not far from New Orleans. Can you give everyone just an overview of where it is?
We are 4 hours from New Orleans, 4 hours from Houston, 4 hours from Dallas, 4 hours from Little Rock, Arkansas, and 4 hours from Jackson, Mississippi. So if you kind of put us right in the middle, it would make a good little hub and spoke destination right there in the smack in the middle. But for flying in, Shreveport and Alexandria are the two closest major airports, and Shreveport's about 75 miles away, so right at an hour and 15 minutes. And then Alexandria is less than an hour away. It's about 50 miles away. And I love that little airport. A lot of people don't realize, but it's Alexandria Airport used to be England Air Force Base, and after the Air Force Base closed, they turned it into an international airport. So it's great. I love flying in and out of there.
And then, is it true that Ben, this was you going to Charlotte, North Carolina, is because there's a direct flight between the two cities, New Orleans and Charlotte?
I think they've added, I think they've added about 4 or 5. So there's direct flights from Charlotte to Shreveport, to New Orleans, to Lafayette.
Oh, wow.
So there's quite a few different ways to get into Louisiana from Charlotte and from other hubs as well. But that was the point of the Charlotte expedition, was to kind of promote Louisiana tourism, the culinary trails, and bring a little bit of Louisiana to Charlotte for a couple nights.
Nice. So what restaurant did you take over?
I was at a restaurant called Fin and Fino. And so it was a really kind of hip kind of, they were, I don't know how to describe it exactly. They do a lot of seafood. It's a lot of small plates. And so I talked to the chef there, and he said, his name was Johnny Cox, and he said, well, we do this thing called the treatment. And so they do this every night. And what it is, it's you walk into the restaurant, you basically say, give me the treatment, and it's whatever chef decides he wants to cook for that night. And it's 4 or 5 small plates. I think it's only $65, and they donate $5 to a charity every time somebody orders it.
Nice.
And so he basically said, why don't you come in for the night and, plan on taking over the treatment? So I said, okay. And he said, plan on doing about 25 servings. So I thought we were going to go to Charlotte, relax, have a few cocktails at Fin and Fino, and knock out about 25 covers. And earlier on in the week, he called me back and said, hey, do you think you can do 160? And I said, oh, well, now we're working, are we? So we got up there, and
it's not Epcot, boy. It's not Epcot.
No, they had never done more than 100 treatments in a single night, and I want to say we did 144 that night.
Oh, wow! Oh, but you don't just go in and say, "Give me the treatment." That's hysterical.
I know.
Really.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. That's hysterical.
I want the treatment.
I want the treatment.
Yeah, and so
what was
we
the
did
treatment?
stuff like I actually added crawfish to the boudin wonton, so we did a crawfish and boudin wonton. I did a crab and corn bisque. I did what else did we do? Perry, do you remember? We did.
Well, did we do the seafood nachos, or was that for media night?
No, that was for the media night.
Oh wow, because you had to do a media night too. Yeah. Whoa.
And we ended up finishing it with a white chocolate bread pudding with white chocolate ganache. So it was a healthy little dinner.
Isn't bread pudding like a Louisiana thing? Bread pudding?
Yes.
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 Okay.
You can find it everywhere, but there's so many different varieties of bread pudding, just like gumbos. Everybody does it a little bit different sometimes,
Right.
And the meat pie, that's an important thing for Natchitoches. That's a part of heritage. Do you do that, or do you leave the meat pie people to the pie people, or does everyone do it?
So we do a lot of weddings still through our catering side. And, if you get married in Natchitoches, you've got to have Natchitoches meat pies on the menu. So we probably sell about 2,000 of those a month. So I don't make those myself. There are people that are much quicker and cheaper at it than I am. So we use a company called Natchitoches Meat Pie Company, and we get all of ours through them. But definitely Carrie actually was the founder of the Natchitoches Meat Pie Festival back in 2003? Something like that.
Many years ago.
That's a good idea.
Time ago.
There's a meat pie triathlon as well, the meat pie tri. That
would you eat a pie every time you go a mile?
No, that would be deadly.
like-
They do have a meat pie eating contest though, and I think I remember the first year we did it, we hired the IFOCE, which as everyone knows is the International Federation of Competitive Eaters. The same guys that do Coney Island hot dog eating contest.
No,
and they sent us down. They sent us an eater. They sent us an eater and a barker, like the guy with the plastic hat on that would call out all the stuff. And I want to say the guy, the eater they sent was Bayou Boyd Bulow, and he ate 24 large meat pies in 12 minutes.
Oh my gosh!
And then he walked across the street and got a rack of ribs and some roasted corn.
Oh my gosh!
He was impressive. But there was a guy that competed in both the meat pie eating contest and the meat pie try that year, which was almost as impressive as Bayou Boyd Bulow.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that's crazy.
Oh my
now
gosh.
listen, aren't you glad you're not on Wall Street anymore? This sounds like so much more fun.
This sounds much fun.
It's funny. I tell people, when we were up there and I worked on Wall Street, it was in the 90s, and it was like, how fast can you live? Like, who can have the nicest cars, the biggest house, whatever. And we moved down here, and all of a sudden in Louisiana, it becomes how slow can you live instead of how fast can you live.
And it's
I
how much
prefer.
fun.
Carrie calls me a self-inflicted redneck because I'm not not
With
from
a
here,
bob.
but I'm surely trying to fit in.
Yeah, with a bob.
With a blonde bob. Oh my gosh, you
I
have
love
to do
it.
something with the blonde bob. And I'm serious that we want.
Oh, it's
I mean,
already
really.
done. It'll be on the website tonight.
Oh my gosh, the
So much
blonde
fun.
bob has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's so much fun, you guys. I'm glad you're doing the meat pies, and I think it's really cool that you're working with, it's partnership, and I think that's something that's so important about going to, smaller cities and everything is just I don't know, everyone's so friendly. It doesn't seem all, and you, as a visitor to a community and as a traveler, you guys all know that when you go to a town, a city, a community, you can tell when people are working together and enjoying life and quality of life in a place. And I think that's part of what, Natchitoches has is this quality of life of
Very welcoming.
You can't walk down the street with Arlene without everybody stopping her and telling her stuff and talking to her. And we're like, who's got the gossip? We want to know. It's
Yeah.
like,
I think especially in Natchitoches in the restaurant industry, it's a pretty small, tight-knit group. And it's kind of like everybody's got each other's back. And we got that firsthand.
That's
We had a
cool.
fire in June at the restaurant that pretty much shut us down for 6 months. We had to completely renovate. And I mean, it wasn't like the
Oh.
coals weren't cold. The coals weren't cold yet. And I had other restaurant people up here asking what they could do.
Oh, that's nice. That's
I'm
really
so sorry you
cool.
went through that. Fires are not
Yeah.
fun. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No, sorry.
No,
you
we
went through that.
actually only reopened December 1st. I want to say was when we reopened for the
Oh.
second time.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, you guys, like, okay, and here we are recording this on Friday the 13th. But anyways,
Nice.
that's
It is
terrible.
Friday the 13th.
I know, but maybe that will give good juju. You know what I mean?
It's
'Cause,
it's
you
good
know,
luck for
lottery
some
ticket.
people.
I know. Everybody
I
go get a
know.
lottery ticket tonight.
I
But
know.
it's so awesome to hear your stories. And Arlene, you know, you connect us with the best people on these shows because I think you have the best people all around you. And you've got to be nice if you're hanging out with Arlene. And by the way, Arlene is one awesome cook too. You know, I always say
Yes.
this. She is the epitome of Southern hospitality. And when we
Mhm.
first met her, it was back in 2014, I think it was. I think 2013 or 14, Arlene.
Yeah, we're doing the
And-
National Parks Tour for the 100th anniversary. So whatever
Yeah,
year
we
that
came-
was.
We came through and we went to Cane River Cane River Creole National Historical Park, and we're out there filming and everything. And she comes walking up to introduce herself, and we're talking about the tour, and we've been on the road. I mean, we travel full time, you know. And next thing you know, she goes, "All right, well, we're gonna have lunch and everything." We go do that, and she goes, "Well, listen, y'all," and it was a y'all. Hey, y'all.
Y'all.
Here we go.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. She's like, your last night is Sunday, and you know, you're coming to my house, and bring your laundry, and I'm cooking you dinner.
That's
You're
so
coming to my
cool.
house for dinner, and I'll go get you wine. I know you girls want your wine. And we met our dogs, and you know, and I think that is something special. I mean, of course, took us around and made sure we had everything that we could do in the amount of time we were there. But there was something special about that. And I think that's what I'm saying about Louisiana. And I don't know, she was like probably one of those very first people that really made us relax a little bit and kind of feel human. When you're on the road so much, when someone makes you feel human again, it means a whole world. And
It
Natchitoches is like that. And Arlene is this amazing representative.
I'm thinking I might have taken y'all to the drive-through daiquiri shop too while we were
did do
at it
that.
or something
She
like
did
that.
Well, and let me tell you, when we left Arlene's house, she drew a map. She gave us directions, and I think we ended up at Mulrose Plantation that night, and we almost ended up in Alexandria on some road. I think we did the Cane River National Heritage Byway.
Yeah, y'all were supposed to be going back to the hotels out by the interstate, and you ended up going south towards Clutreville.
I think we were like in Kasachi Forest. We were seeing like, you know, armadillos running across the street.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. It was like 1 a.m. Where are we? It was so funny.
Well,
Well,
you're always welcome to come back to Natchitoches in your travels, and
Thank you.
we appreciate y'all having us each month on your show, and we enjoy being with you, and hope that your listeners, you know, are enticed to come and visit us as well.
And if
Well,
you're not,
they're
I'm going to
missing
come
out
kick your
if they
butts.
don't.
Everybody,
Yeah.
if you don't get to Natchitoches, I'm going to kick your butts. But go there and get your Mardi Gras beads too. We're going to close with the song "Chicken and Waffles" from Johnny Master and the Mama's Boys. We met them first in Venice Beach, California, on a crazy little
was
detour. And now they live in based out of New Orleans. And you can go to johnnymaster.com. But before we play that song, Chef Ben, I heard that you do actually serve chicken and waffles.
We do. We do have a dish that's 4 3-inch waffles, buttermilk waffles, and then we've got some hand-battered fried chicken on top of each one with a little maple syrup, and that's on the menu every day.
We've never had them. I've never had chicken and waffles in my life.
Well, y'all need to come visit soon so we can go out to Mariners for dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have
And
chicken
everyone,
and
the
waffles.
Yes.
chicken and waffles and the blonde bob cocktail.
The
I don't
blah
know
blah.
that. But I want
Blonde Bob.
And the one-eyed Sally, seriously.
Yeah, it starts with the blonde bob and ends with the one-eyed Sally. It's pretty much
No, that's
There you
not-
go.
and hopefully you don't fall in
Awesome.
the
The
lake.
natural
Hopefully,
progression.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
fall in the lake. There are gators in Louisiana. I'm just saying. So everyone, marinersrestaurant.com is the website to go to. And then Natchitoches is NATCHITOCHES.com. So Natchitoches.com. So thank you all for joining us. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. And here it is, chicken and waffles. Thank you all.
Thank you.